Hey, what's up everybody, video 44 coming at you in another video. I just don't know. When I look at Anthony Davis's stats, he's had games where he's had 7 blocks, 6 blocks. We only played like 11 or 12 games. How many games have we played? 13 games. He's had games where he's only missed 3 shots, 4 shots. He's had games where he's missed 11 shots. He's had games where he's attempted 14 shots, 10 shots in the last game. He's had games where he's attempted 19 shots. It was very inefficient. I honestly don't know how to view this. I'm listening to Ticket TV saying that LeBron James probably done with him. I don't think so. And even if LeBron James was, I don't know that he has the power, quote unquote, in this organization to demand that we move AD. I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't think that's necessarily going to be his call if the Lakers were to do that. I don't think they do it against his will. And I don't necessarily think they'd say no if he asked them to trade him. But I just don't know that that would be something they'd be willing to do just for certain. I don't know. I have no idea. I think at the end of the day, for me, I just understand and respect defense too much to ever trade Anthony Davis for anything less than somebody who can do what he does defensively, which is maybe 2 or 3 guys in this league. Or a package of picks in a rebuilding situation. That's the only way I would want to trade Anthony Davis. You have to give me stupid picks, man. Stupid picks. Lots of them, lots of swaps. More than anyone's ever been given. I want the record broken. Put it like that. And so it's one of those situations where I don't think Anthony Davis is worth that to the field. So I don't think you're going to get a good trade for Anthony Davis. You could probably trade him for a guard or something like that. Maybe you get a Donovan Mitchell, or you might be able to luck up on a DeJounte Murray and some stuff. But I don't think you make that trade. I don't think if you're the Lakers or you're the person that's harboring Anthony Davis on your team, you make that trade. Now, if you have concerns about his health, that's one thing. He's only missed 1 game this season. He misses an average like 30, 35 games a year. But conditioning, I think, has improved from year to year. I think he's actually getting in much better shape as the season's progressed. I think he has better off-season habits right now than he's had since becoming a Laker. Over the last 2 years, he's incorporated those. So I kind of like where he's headed with that. Of course, Father Time catches up. But, you know, Anthony Davis to me is just such a gifted defensive player. When you see guys who are making, pogo stick kind of decisions where they jump on pump fakes and, don't read body well on the defensive end and just kind of find themselves fouling unnecessarily, Anthony Davis does not have that problem. He's one of the best players on the planet for staying down when a guy is doing all types of pump fakes and up and unders. That is such a unique gift to have in this league, when I've seen super duper stars not be very good at that. Super duper great human beings on the court don't have that gift. I think part of what you're also looking at when you consider Anthony Davis is how he's being used. We tend to have ball handlers that can look for AD but don't specialize in assists. You put an assist master on the floor with AD, who's a small guard that can get the ball to him from the top of the key, and he's going to be able to do things that skyrocket in stats if you just get him an actual natural point guard. Now, a lot of people are going to be offended by that because, of course, LeBron's a natural point guard, but LeBron James plays a forward position, which we've also talked about can make it very difficult to build around Anthony Davis and him at the same time, and I think the Lakers have struggled with that. You get him a Chris Paul, you get him somebody that just gets assists like crazy. I don't know who comes to mind. For some reason, Scoot Henderson's name comes to mind immediately. An assist guy. Obviously, Jason Kidd-like guys. You get him one of those, and you're going to see him score upwards of 28, 29 points a game. I don't think we've gotten that player on this team. I think the players who look to pass the ball look to score first. Anthony Davis needs that point guard. And so if you send him somewhere where that point guard is at, or if you bring that point guard to him, you're going to see his scoring numbers automatically go up in the system that you're in. And that's part of it. And the system that we have AD in, and with stuff that we have him running, he's a pick and roll guy. Oftentimes we want to have him post up in the paint being a center. Oftentimes we want him to guard people like Jokic that wears him down. So this is what are you asking him to do from night to night to night to night? And is that the best way to get the most out of him scoring the ball? For everybody who wants him to score more, what type of actions do you have him in versus what type of defensive assignments does he have to take on that wear him down and get him in foul trouble? I always say that even though I think he's the best defensive player in the world, he's probably best in weak side situations. And so these are the type of things that I just look at and I say, I just don't think the Lakers have put him in the greatest position to get the very most out of him. And now I look at his rebounding numbers and realize he's one of the best rebounders in basketball. I look at his blocks numbers and realize he leads the league in blocks. So for those who are saying he's not a superstar or not playing like a superstar, you're just not looking at the stats that help you understand where he's actually great at, because he's killing it in those areas whether he's scoring or not. And the thing about him is when he does turn into the scoring juggernaut that we know he is, his ceiling goes up way higher than 98% of this league. You got guys that have won MVP that ain't going to put up the stats Anthony Davis does when he gets in his Anthony Davis run bag, which usually lasts about 8 to 12 games. Every other season, he goes for like 53, 56, 57, 58, and we just haven't seen that as much with the Lakers, but maybe in small spurts. I think it's because of what we have him doing from night to night. And I think it also has something to do with some of his defensive assignments that ultimately take him off the floor in certain situations, keeping him from getting his rhythm. He does have to get better at shooting the jumper, but we also have to give him more reps. He has regressed dramatically as a jump shooter, and I think his form has always been solid, but he just needs to be in situations that has a more up-tempo offense for him to benefit from, with people getting him the ball in spots in rhythm and allowing him to catch and shoot. So these are the type of things I'm looking at, and I say I just don't like the system Anthony's being run into here for what it is we want him to be. And we ain't winning that much to be having him sacrifice scoring the ball in a system that has him scoring slow and banging a lot. It shooted teardrops and stuff like that. We need to find better ways of getting him the ball in spots that he's comfortable hitting shots in. So I don't think we're using him right. I think if you send him to another team, depending on the situation and the system they run, you're going to see Anthony Davis go right back up to averaging 25 to 28 points a game. That's the problem. You trade him and he's going to be what you want him to be somewhere else. And you ain't going to bring back nobody who can play defense like him, because there ain't nobody who plays defense like him. So these are the type of things I'm thinking about as a fan of the Lakers, having Anthony Davis on contract for multiple years and hearing people talk about how they're disappointed with our team. Am I disappointed with our team? No. Why? Because we've been missing players the whole season. Very key ones. Like Jared Vanderbilt and the 16th overall pick rookie Jalen Hood-Schifino and Gabe Vincent, who was in the finals last year, and Rui Hachimura to start the season. And we've been having Anthony Davis play kind of hurt. And LeBron James not necessarily be 100% throughout the course of all these games at 39 years of age. It's hard to be disappointed when you know you got key cogs missing from the puzzle. So for me, it's like, yeah, I can be disappointed in what I'm seeing from the limited options that we've been given, but we started the season with half of our team hurt, and they still ain't came back. One of the most important pieces on our team is Vanderbilt. He ain't came back yet. I don't think we lose as many games in the fashion that we did if we have Jared Vanderbilt defensively rebounding and doing the things that he does, especially if his jump shot is falling, and I know he's worked on it this offseason. That corner shot has improved. We saw that in the preseason. So I'm awaiting Vando's return, who's also one of the best defensive players in the league. That will determine a lot more of what the Lakers are capable of doing, especially if you can put him next to a player like Cam Reddish, who is clearly showing us he's a gifted defensive player as well. And Gabe Vincent, from what I understand, is also a gifted player on the defensive side. So it's like, if we're missing key defensive players, and Anthony Davis is one of the best defensive players in the league, you put those players next to Anthony Davis in a good situation, and you're likely going to have the best defense in the league. Can you say that about who you're going to trade him for? So these are the type of things I'm looking at, and I say, I know people are tired of Anthony Davis, but they're not perceiving Anthony Davis properly. He's a defensive player with high-level offensive capabilities, not an offensive superstar who plays defense really great. No. And so because this is not football where defensive players only play defense, you get to look at Anthony Davis as a superstar and equate his defensive genius and his ability to go up high scoring the ball when he does as a means of saying he's supposed to be an offensive superstar, when I don't know that that's who he naturally is, especially in systems that don't necessarily cater to him doing that. Next to people who need to shoot the ball themselves, a bunch of ball handlers who ain't looking to get him the ball consistently at all. Are we feeding him every play? No. We feed him 10, 11, 12 to 14 shots a game. Superstars shoot a lot more shots than that in a lot of cases. But because we have two of them, and one of them's dishing the ball to everybody else because he needs to get his assists instead of to Anthony Davis in a lot of cases. And then we got the ball handlers who look to get assists, but they also want to shoot the ball like Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell. Who is feeding Anthony Davis consistently enough for him to be that guy? And you want him to play defense against the bigger people and have him play in the center position, even though he told y'all time and time again that he doesn't want to do that. We can get angry at the Minnesota Timberwolves for making a trade for Rudy Gobert. I could argue they shouldn't have done that. But if you look at where they're at right now, they are a legitimate contender. Why? Because they took Cat out of that center position and gave him a more natural role for his skill set, which is to shoot the ball from behind the arc. He is one of the best three-point shooters in the game. He didn't need to be banging around at the center position all the damn time. Why couldn't the Lakers devise a way to get this man a legitimate center after all these years he's been on our team? Y'all still want him to play the center position. And so these are the type of things that I'm going to assess before looking at what Anthony Davis hasn't done for the Lakers scoring the ball or being consistent. That's what I'm looking at. Have you put him in a position to have the unit around him that allows him to be his very best self? The answer is hell no. The Lakers have not done that. They've put good teams around him. They put a championship team around him. But nothing that actually catered to him being that dude that y'all were talking about y'all want him to be. It hasn't happened yet. I'm waiting for that center that could be on that team. Y'all saw how good he played with Prime Boogie. That should have been the energy we had for him. Getting him a Prime Boogie-like super duper center to put next to the man so he had to play no damn center. He would dominate the league if he had that player next to him. I promise you he would. You put him next to Wembanyama, they ain't going to lose too many games. So these are the type of things that I understand. Do I want to move Anthony Davis? No. If I were a team who didn't have any, if I was a guy who didn't have any skin in the game, if I wasn't a Laker fan and I'm just watching this as somebody else's fan, I probably would like to see the Lakers move Anthony Davis. Not for the betterment of the Lakers, but for the betterment of Anthony Davis. Truth be told. The team is one game above 500. He's leading the league in blocks and basically maybe even rebounds. And all I hear is people saying that he ain't doing enough. Playing through a growing injury. He ain't doing enough. It ain't the superstars that have not done enough. It's the role players that have not been healthy and some of the guys that Darvin Ham is leaning on in that process that ain't doing enough. That ain't Anthony Davis. So that's where I'm at with that. I'm not unhappy with Anthony Davis. I just want people to understand I'm not. Not this season. I'm not. I wanted him to play better yesterday, give us more than 10 points. But the 2 games before that, he missed a total of like 7 shots in 2 games. Attempting 11 and 14 shots in those situations. It was 11 of 14, and I think, no, was it like 11 of 14 and then maybe like 10 of 13 or something? Forgive me, but he was very, very efficient in the 2 prior games before this 10-point situation. And now, granted, he had some bad games, as we already mentioned. Scoring the ball is an inconsistency for him. But you got to take into account foul trouble, injury, that growing injury or whatever it is, the hip. And you got to take into account the inconsistency of some of the ball handlers on his team, like Austin Reeves, who we didn't play as much in certain situations. D'Angelo Russell, who wouldn't be on the floor in certain situations because they were playing so poorly in some games. Guys who were supposed to be feeding him the ball. And so these are the type of things I'm like, yo, man, I am not unhappy with Anthony Davis. I'm more so unhappy with the fact that we were injured so much and that our coach chose to lean on certain players that did not help us with the starting lineups that we had, that ended up digging us into holes that we could barely get ourselves out of, if at all. That was disappointing. But I don't think I find myself disappointed if we're fully healthy. I don't think I find myself disappointed if Anthony Davis were in an offense that actually catered to him scoring more and had less defensive pressure to guard people that are bigger than him night in and night out, when we know the man is not built for all that banging. So that's what I want to say, man. I ain't unhappy with Anthony Davis. I know what people are thinking, and I think that's a surface level of looking at it a lot of times when you don't consider that he is actually a defensive player. And does he falter on the defensive end? No. He doesn't. Does he falter rebounding the ball? Not often. He's usually up above 11 rebounds a game. And like I said, he leads the league in blocks. So these are the type of things I'm like, yo, man, I would love to see Anthony Davis play better. I don't want to give him passes. There are going to be times where I am going to say, yo, just like last night, you need to do more. But on the season, to say I'm disappointed in Anthony Davis, I'm not, man. I'm not. I think he's been great this season. I think he's an MVP candidate when you look at his stats. I mean, there's a lot of guys we call MVP candidates right now, but he's definitely in an all-star situation right now. If he keeps this up, he's definitely an all-star this year. And the Lakers are above 500. With half the damn team missing a good portion of the time. And a lot of that is definitely on, with Bron in mind. Bron has had an amazing season. So we're not sitting here saying that, he's done this by himself. But let's just be honest. The rest of the team ain't really playing well at all this year. Most of these dudes up and down the roster are having career low years or something in that nature. They ain't balling. Austin ain't balling. D'Lo ain't really balling. Rui ain't balling. Taurean Prince ain't balling. These dudes are not having good years right now for their standards. They're not. So, with all of the role players' numbers down, why doesn't more attention go toward what else is happening on the Lakers rather than to look at the superstars who are having great seasons for the most part and saying the Lakers ain't doing enough? It ain't the stars that ain't doing enough this year. That's not the problem. So that's really where my head goes. I'm not going to sit up here and say I'm irritated with the Anthony Davis slander, but it does get to a point where somebody needs to offset that with the truth. So that's what I'm here to do. My name is BDL44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.